There was a time when e.l.f. Cosmetics was seen as just a cheap makeup brand, a kind of brand you might grab quickly at the drugstore. A $3 lip gloss, a budget eyeshadow palette, a makeup brush that didn't cost more than your lunch. It was affordable, accessible, and popular, but it wasn't exactly seen as glamorous. And then something changed. Almost overnight, e.l.f. went from being a budget beauty brand to one of the most talked about companies on TikTok. Its products started selling out. Its campaigns were getting billions of views. Beauty creators were comparing its products to luxury brands. And suddenly, people weren't asking, is e.l.f. good for the price? They were asking, wait, is e.l.f. actually better than the expensive stuff? So, how did a company built on low prices become one of the biggest beauty success stories of the TikTok era? And was it really TikTok that made e.l.f. rich overnight? Or had the brand been preparing for this moment all along? This is the story of e.l.f. Cosmetics. To understand why e.l.f. became so successful, we have to go back to the early 2000s. At the time, beauty looked very different. Makeup counters were still dominated by big legacy brands. Department store beauty felt aspirational. Drugstore beauty existed, of course, but it didn't always have the same excitement around it. And for a lot of people, makeup was expensive. If you wanted to experiment with different looks, try new colors, or build a full makeup bag, the cost could add up quickly. Then came e.l.f. The name stood for eyes, lips, face. Simple, direct, easy to remember. The idea behind the company was also simple. Beauty shouldn't feel out of reach. You shouldn't need to spend luxury prices just to enjoy makeup. And that idea was actually more powerful than it might sound, because e.l.f. wasn't selling exclusivity, it was selling access. The brand was saying, you can try this too. You can experiment. You can play. You can have fun with beauty without worrying that one product costs half your weekly budget. In the beginning, many e.l.f. products were famously inexpensive. The brand built its identity around affordability. But here's the important part. Cheap alone usually isn't enough. There are plenty of inexpensive products people buy once and never buy again. For e.l.f. to survive, the products had to feel like a discovery. Customers had to feel like they had found a little secret. Something that looked good, worked well enough, and cost far less than expected. And that became part of the magic. People loved telling each other about e.l.f. because it felt like finding a beauty bargain before everyone else knew about it. But at this stage, e.l.f. still wasn't the hottest brand in beauty. It was useful, it was affordable, it was there, but it wasn't yet a cultural phenomenon. So what changed? One of the most interesting things about e.l.f. is that it never really behaved like a traditional beauty company. A lot of older beauty brands were built through glossy magazine ads, celebrity campaigns, drugstore counters, and carefully controlled messaging. Everything was polished, everything was expensive looking, everything was slightly out of reach. e.l.f. came from a different world. It was more casual, more direct, more online, and that mattered, because beauty was changing. First came YouTube, then came Instagram, then TikTok, and each platform changed the way people discovered products. Instead of waiting for a celebrity in a magazine to tell them what was beautiful, consumers were watching normal people test products in real time. They were watching makeup tutorials in bedrooms. They were reading comments. And they were comparing before and after results. They were asking, does this actually work? And e.l.f. fit perfectly into that world, because if a product is affordable, people are more willing to try it. If it works, they are more willing to recommend it. And if it performs better than expected, it becomes shareable. That's where e.l.f. had an advantage. Its products were easy to buy, easy to test, and easy to talk about. But the brand still needed a spark. And that spark came from a platform many brands didn't take seriously at first: TikTok. When TikTok first started becoming popular, a lot of companies didn't really know what to do with it. To some executives, it looked like an app for teenagers dancing in their bedrooms. Fun, maybe, but not serious. Not a place where a major brand strategy should happen. But e.l.f. saw something different. They saw attention. They saw creativity. They saw a platform where people weren't just watching content. They were copying it, remixing it, reacting to it, and making their own. That was the key. TikTok wasn't just another advertising channel. It was a participation machine. So e.l.f. did something bold. Instead of making a normal beauty ad, the brand helped create a TikTok campaign built around music. The campaign was called #EyesLipsFace, and the song was made specifically for TikTok. That might not sound shocking now. Today, every brand wants a viral sound. But at the time, this was still new. Very few beauty brands were treating TikTok like a serious cultural platform. e.l.f. didn't just enter TikTok. It entered TikTok in the language of TikTok. Music, movement, short videos, participation, a challenge people could join. And it worked. The campaign exploded. Creators began using the sound. People danced to it. Beauty fans joined in. Influencers joined in. The hashtag spread further and further. And suddenly, e.l.f. wasn't just a product on a shelf. It was a sound. It was a trend. A moment. The brand had done something that every company wants to do, but very few actually manage. It made advertising feel like culture. And here's the question. Was this luck? Was it just the right song at the right time? Or did e.l.f. understand something about the internet before other beauty brands did? Because this is where the story gets even more interesting. The TikTok campaign gave e.l.f. attention, but attention alone doesn't build a long-term business. A viral campaign can make people look at you. It doesn't guarantee they will buy from you again. For e.l.f., the real transformation happened when the products themselves became part of TikTok culture. And this is where dupes come in. If you spent any time on beauty TikTok, you know exactly what a dupe is. It's a cheaper product that people say performs similarly to a more expensive one. And TikTok absolutely loves a good dupe. Why? Because it gives viewers a little thrill. It feels like beating the system. Why pay $40 when you can pay $8? Why spend luxury prices if something more affordable gives you a similar look? Why not test both and see what happens? This was perfect for e.l.f. because the brand had always been affordable. But now, affordability wasn't seen as boring. It was seen as clever. It was seen as satisfying. It became content. Creators could film one side of their face using an expensive product and the other side using e.l.f. They could test wear time. They could compare texture. They could zoom in under harsh lighting. They could say, I actually can't believe how good this is. And that kind of reaction is marketing gold. Because it doesn't feel like an ad. It feels like discovery. Products like e.l.f.'s Halo Glow liquid filter and Power Grip primer became part of the conversation. People weren't just buying them because they were cheap. They were buying them because they had seen creators genuinely excited by them. The brand had moved into a new category, not just affordable beauty that performs. And that distinction matters, because there is a big difference between cheap and good value. Cheap can feel low quality, good value feels smart. And e.l.f. managed to become the smart choice. Another reason e.l.f. took off is timing. The brand didn't just get lucky with TikTok. It also arrived at the perfect moment in consumer culture. People were becoming more price conscious. Beauty shoppers still wanted new products, new routines, and new trends. But not everyone wanted to spend luxury prices. At the same time, younger consumers were becoming more skeptical of traditional advertising. They didn't necessarily trust a polished campaign telling them a product was amazing. They wanted proof. They wanted comments. They wanted reviews. They wanted someone on TikTok saying, okay, I tried it, and honestly, it's good. e.l.f. benefited from that shift. The brand didn't need to convince people that affordable beauty was acceptable. TikTok did that for them. Every viral video became a tiny piece of evidence. Every creator review became a recommendation. Every comparison to a high-end product made the brand feel more impressive. And then there was accessibility. This is a detail that sometimes gets overlooked. A product going viral is only useful if people can actually buy it. Some beauty products go viral and then disappear for months. Customers get frustrated. The moment passes. But e.l.f. already had strong retail distribution. Its products were available online and in major stores. So when people saw a product on TikTok, they could often go out and buy it. That turned views into sales, and sales into momentum, and momentum into a full brand transformation. At this point, e.l.f. was no longer just reacting to TikTok. It was becoming one of the brands that shaped beauty culture on the platform. The company leaned into entertainment. It leaned into humor. It leaned into bold campaigns. It understood that modern beauty marketing wasn't just about showing a product. It was about creating a conversation around the product. And that made e.l.f. feel younger than many of its competitors. Not because the company was new, but because it behaved like it understood the rules. It didn't seem embarrassed to be affordable. It celebrated it. It didn't try to pretend it was luxury. It made value feel cool. And that is actually very difficult to do. Because many brands, when they become successful, try to move up market. They want to look more expensive, more exclusive, more premium. But e.l.f. mostly did the opposite. It doubled down on accessibility. The message was clear. Beauty can be fun. Beauty can perform. Beauty can be affordable. And beauty can include more people. That gave the brand a very different emotional position. People weren't just buying a product, they were buying the feeling of being in on something. The feeling of discovering a product that was better than expected. The feeling of getting the look without the luxury price tag. And on TikTok, that feeling travels fast. The results were huge. e.l.f. became one of the standout beauty winners of the TikTok era. Sales grew, market share increased, investors paid attention. The brand expanded beyond just being a budget makeup company and became a serious force in beauty. And what's interesting is that this wasn't a scandal story. There was no dramatic collapse, no bankruptcy twist, no shocking fraud reveal. This was a rare positive business story. A company found its audience, understood the moment, used the internet well, and turned affordability into an advantage. But that brings us to the biggest question. Did TikTok make e.l.f. successful? Or did TikTok reveal what was already strong about the brand? Because when you look closely, e.l.f. already had many of the ingredients needed to win. Affordable products, strong distribution, a clear identity, a willingness to move quickly, and a customer base that loved sharing discoveries. TikTok didn't create those things, it amplified them. It took what e.l.f. already did well and showed it to millions of people at once. That's why the story is so powerful. Because e.l.f. didn't become successful by pretending to be something else. It became successful by becoming a sharper, louder, more internet native version of itself. Today, e.l.f. is no longer just the cheap brand at the drugstore. It's one of the most talked about beauty companies in the world. Its products regularly go viral. Its campaigns attract attention. Its brand identity feels current, playful, and confident. And perhaps most importantly, people trust it to deliver value. That trust is hard to build, especially in beauty, where consumers have endless options. But e.l.f. found a way to make affordability feel exciting instead of basic. It turned low prices into a flex. It turned TikTok into a growth engine. And it turned a brand many people underestimated into one of the beauty's biggest modern success stories. So maybe the real question isn't, how did TikTok make e.l.f. rich overnight? Maybe the better question is, how many brands are sitting on the perfect product, the perfect message, and the perfect audience, but still haven't found the platform that brings it all together? Because e.l.f.'s story shows that sometimes success doesn't come from changing everything. Sometimes it comes from understanding exactly who you are and waiting for the world to finally catch up. The e.l.f. story is a reminder that business success doesn't always have to come from luxury, exclusivity, or being the most expensive brand in the room. Sometimes it comes from being useful, being fast, being affordable, being willing to experiment, and most of all, listening to what people actually want. e.l.f. didn't just sell makeup. It sold the feeling of finding something surprisingly good. And in the age of TikTok, that feeling might be one of the most powerful marketing tools in the world. So what do you think? Was e.l.f.'s success mostly because of TikTok? Or was TikTok just the platform that finally showed everyone what the brand had been building all along?